Okay, because we're going to go over solving quadratics and completing the square. So before we start going over the foldable, I want you guys to understand what the point of this is, okay? So as an example that I want you guys to write down is that if you have an equation, okay, say you have x squared minus 4x, and that's all you have, okay? What you're going to do is you are going to turn this into a perfect square trinomial, okay? That means that you are going to have a box that you're going to use the formula. So the formula for completing the square is b, so this is your b value. So it's b divided by 2, and you're going to square that. So if your b value is negative 4, you divide that by 2, and you'd square that. Negative 4 divided by 2 is going to give you a negative 2, and then you're going to square that. And that's going to give you a positive 4, because a negative 2 times a negative 2 gives you a positive 4. So whatever you get from taking the b value, dividing it by 2, and squaring it, you're going to put in this little box. Okay? This gives you c. This little box is c, this is your b, and this is your a. The whole point of taking b and dividing it and squaring it is so that this is now a trinomial. So you have first term, second term, third term. And this is a special trinomial. This trinomial is a perfect square trinomial. That means that the first term and the last term is a perfect square. So what you're going to do with this now is you're going to factor it to check to make sure that it's a perfect square. So you need something that multiplies to be 4, but then adds to be negative 4. So two numbers that do that are going to be a negative 2 times a negative 2, or a negative 2 plus negative 2. Okay, so your factors for this are going to be x minus 2 and x minus 2. The whole point of this is to make you want to create a trinomial. Okay, so you're going to create a trinomial that gives you two of the same factors, because you can write this out as x minus 2 squared, because you want it to be something squared. You have to have the parentheses. The whole point of that is that when you solve for x, you can just take the square root of it. So all of your answers, when you do completing the square, all of your answers are going to be a perfect square trinomial, and you're going to have two of the same factors that you can write out with parentheses, and then it's just going to be squared. Okay, your next example is x squared equals 12x minus 20. Okay, the whole purpose of this, it's going to say complete the square. That means that you have to move everything that has a term, like in the x squared and the x, to one side. To do that, you have to subtract the 12x. That puts x squared minus 12x on one side. And then this is not your c. Okay? They give you a negative 20, but you're going to keep it on that side, because you guys always have to remember that you are going to create your own c value. Okay? So you're going to put negative 20 on this side. And from now on, once you create your c definitely goes on this side. But now, since we have an equal sign, before in my first example, I didn't have an equal sign. I was just showing you what to do with b. Now I'm showing you an actual problem. So whatever we do on one side, we have to do on the other side. So from now on, if you have an equation and it says complete the square, you're going to have a square on one side and a square on the other side. And whatever goes in your square is going to be b divided by 2 squared. That's how you're going to create c, because this is a, b, c. And then you're going to put the c value that you're creating in both boxes. So you're going to put it in this box and in this box. So your b right here is negative 12. Okay, so we're going to do negative 12 divided by 2 squared. Negative 2 divided by 2 is going to give you negative 6 squared, which is 36, because negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive 36. So in both of those boxes, you are going to put 36. So put 36, and since it's positive, put 36. And then over here, I'm going to put 36. On the left side, so left, left side you're going to factor. On the right side, we're going to simplify. So right, simplify, left, factor. So what this did, what I just created by doing b divided by 2 and squaring it, is I created a perfect square trinomial. That means I'm going to have something over here squared. Well, I need something to multiply to get 36, but add to get negative 12. That's going to be x minus 6. Because both of those, x minus 6 and x minus 6, are going to equal, they're going to multiply to be 36 and add to be negative 12. So we have negative 6 times negative 6 and negative 6 plus negative 6. So that's what we have so far. So we're just doing that regular, like that's how you factor. We're done with that. Okay, so now we have to take the right side and we have to simplify. If you simplify and you have negative 20 and then you add 36, you're going to have positive 16. Okay? And the whole point is so that you can solve this. You created a perfect square, because once you create a perfect square, you can solve this so easily. You can just do the square root and the square root. So if you take the square root of both sides, the square root and the square cancel out on the left side. So what you're left with is you have no more square and you have no more square root on this side. You just have x minus 6. And then over here, the square root of 16, that's a perfect square. So you can do plus or minus 4, because every square root is a plus or minus number. And now you can just solve for x. So you can just add 6, add 6. This plus or minus gives me 2 equations. So I have one equation that's 6 plus 4, and then I have the other equation that is 6 minus 4, because that plus or minus means positive and it means negative. So 6 plus 4 is 10, and 6 minus 4 is going to give me 2. So this gives me my 2 answers. So my x's would be 2 and 10. Okay, so we're going to use these steps and we're going to do number 20. So the first step is move C to the right, so it reads AX plus BX and then equals the number. So you're going to take that 45 and you're going to move it over, because we want to make space, because right now this is not a perfect square trinomial. So we're going to make a space. The way that we're going to make space for it is we're going to move it to the other side. So to move it to the other side, we have to subtract 45 from both sides. Okay, then you have x squared plus 18x plus, we don't know, so we're going to put a box, and then equals negative 45, and then remember we're going to put another box because we have to do b divided by 2 squared, and that's what goes in our boxes. So we're going to do b, this is a, b, c. So b is 18. So we do 18 divided by 2 squared. That's step 3. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. Then we have 9 squared is 81. So inside our little boxes, I'm going to put 81. And that's positive 81. Okay, now I'm going to do what I usually do. As soon as you put it in the box on both sides, then you're going to factor the left side, simplify the right side. Okay, so when we factor this, it should give us, you should have 2 of the same factors squared. So something that multiplies to be 81 but then adds to be 18 is going to be x plus 9 equals negative 45 plus 81 is going to give us 36. And that's going to give us positive 36. Okay, so my next step is to take the square root of the left side, take the square root of the right side. The square root of the left side is going to leave you with x plus 9. And the square root of the right side is going to leave you with plus or minus, the square root of 36 is going to be 6.
Wait, isn't 9 a perfect?
Okay, so you guys are going to subtract the 9. Okay, but when we subtract the 9, what's going to come first? You're going to have x equals negative 9 plus 6, and x equals negative 9 minus 6. So your two answers are going to be x, you're going to have negative 9 plus 6, which is going to leave you with negative 3. And then negative 9 minus 6 is going to leave you with negative 15. So those are your two answers. And then you have to keep in mind that your two answers you have to write out like x equals negative 3 and negative 15. And you have to write them out like that. Okay, so I want you guys to try number 21, but you have to keep in mind you have to make a space for C, so you have to move the 19 first. So once you move the 19, you add 19 to both sides, and then you have x squared minus 8x. You have a space here, and then you have the 19, and then you have another box that you have to put. You have to put the b divided by 2 squared.
What about the 14?
The 14, you're going to add 14 plus 19, and that's going to go over here. So you're going to put 14 plus 19 right here. So when you add those together, you have 14 plus 19, and that was going to give you 33. So you can just write, instead of writing out what I'm going to write here, you can write out x squared minus 8x with the box equals the 14 plus 19. We can just write as 33, and then you can put your box. So I want you guys to try to solve this on your own. Okay, so you should have taken negative 8, divided it by 2, because that is your b value, and squared it. So then you would have 4 squared, which is 16. Okay, so in your box, you're going to put a 16. In the other box, you're going to put a 16. So you have 16 over here, and it's positive, and a 16 over here, and it's positive. So when you do this, when you factor this, this is a perfect square trinomial. So you need something that multiplies to be 16 and adds to be negative 8. So obviously that's going to be a negative 4 and a negative 4. So your factors are x minus 4 squared. And then when you add 33 plus 16 on the other side, you're going to get 49. Okay, once you are done, you're going to take step 4. So that's what we did. Step 4 is you're going to factor the trinomial, write your factors as x, and then squared. Step 5 says take the square roots of both sides. So we have to square root both sides. Okay, when you square root the left side, you're going to be left with x minus 4. And then you square root the right side, you have plus or minus 7, because the square root of 49 is plus or minus 7. Then I'm going to solve for x. That means I have to add 4. So when you add 4 to both sides, you get x, because we have two equations now. We have x is 4 plus 7 and 4 minus 7. Okay, so 4 minus 7 is going to give you negative 3, and 4 plus 7 is going to give you 11. So your answer for this one is going to be x is negative 3 and 11. Okay, so you'll always have to remember to plug in your b value. So when you do b divided by 2 squared, you plug in your b value. Then you factor the left side, you simplify the right side. Then you take the square root, and then you solve for x. And then you always have to write it out where x equals, the two x's should go in the middle. And you put parentheses around both of them. Okay, now you're going to try to do the rest of your foldable on your own. Okay, you always have to make sure that you move this C because you don't want whatever C they have. You want to create your own C. So you're going to move the C first and then make your two little boxes.